It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. As always, we're having a lot of fun. Mostly looking at the insanity of the left.
Yeah.
It continued yesterday. There's just so much audio from the congressional hearing on the radical transgender movement, and the left is, screaming, saying this is just a distraction. Nobody's talking about this. It's not an issue, and of course it's an issue. One of the people highlighted was Stephanie Turner, who just recently, gave up. She did a protest in U.S. fencing when she had to go up against a biological male.
Yeah.
The reason it's an issue. Look, if I'm a Republican consultant, I'm saying keep pounding this because the Democrats still keep defending it. They're not backing off.
Right.
And you have these states now saying we're not going to pay attention to you. We're not going to do it. We don't care what Trump says. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We don't care whether we are violating women's civil rights according to Title IX, which they are by Title IX. Because when I saw, you and I said this, when we saw, Trump's executive order Trump's executive order simply mirrored what Title IX said. The person who changed Title IX was Obama.
Yep.
Obama did it.
Yep.
Trump's executive order simply states the original meaning of Title IX, which everybody knows was biological sex.
Yep.
We all know it. But they won't give up on it. And so if I'm a Republican consultant, you pound this into the ground. You bring up the other things that you're doing, of course, but you pound this into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they are. And this is Stephanie Turner, the fencer, who went viral after refusing to compete against a biological male. Here's part of her testimony and opening statement yesterday.
My favorite part of fencing is the competition, the thrill, the fight, the triumph, and even the heartache. But lately, fair, female-only competition is harder and harder to come by. USA Fencing has over 200 self-declared members who identify as transgender. Each time a man competes in the women's category, with USA Fencing's support, it removes fair sport and takes opportunities from women. Fencing is a combat sport, a martial art of sorts. There are elements of speed, power, reaction time, distance control, footwork, and blade work, all attributes affected by sex development. It's not uncommon for a quicker, more athletic opponent to overcome the technique of another fencer. Athleticism is powerful in fencing and works in equal parts with strategy and technique. It's unbelievably demeaning to female fencers to put down the differences between men and women and any woman's loss to a man as a skill issue, or that a woman simply needs to work harder. Within the USA Fencing authoritative body, there is a culture of intimidation towards women which demands that we be silent when men enter our tournaments. A culture that includes public humiliation, doxing, social ostracism, dismissal, and even threats. I went from avoiding tournaments with known male athletes to reaching out to news outlets to get this story known. The USA Fencing, up until my protest, has been unresponsive to women's demands for fair fencing.
There it is, Sarah Turner. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible how misogynistic it is. And it's become the mainstream of the Democratic Party. And I think they politically understand that it's a horrible position, which is why they're trying to say they're trying to protect civil rights like Martin Luther King.
Right.
Now, you can't sell that.
No, you can't.
You can't. Nobody buys that, but you do that because you've got nothing else.
Well, that's it. Again, it's, as you point out, and we pointed out then, it was Barack Obama who went after Title IX and started this basically whittling away of Title IX, which is continuing right now because their definition, this is our interpretation of Title IX, only required that the students say so. That was the only requirement. They only had to claim it. No parents involved, no doctors. The transgender only had to say, this is who I am. So if you can belong to a protected class simply by saying so, then there are no protected classes, and that goes for any of the protected classes. And yet because I believe there are some of them who understand we have to destroy Title IX. We have to destroy the Civil Rights Act. We have to, so that we can come in with our own civil rights movement. And this is what they're doing. But what they do in turn is Trump is destroying Title IX, and that's opposite of what's going on.
One of the most effective things yesterday was in this congressional hearing was USA Fencing, the chair, Damian Leifeld, who was there. This guy, if you want a poster child for misogyny, he's the guy.
Yeah.
By what he has written in social media. I mean, it's the most women kind of hatred that you could imagine, and the imagery of having these women athletes there going up against this misogynist male.
Yeah.
And the Democrats defending him.
Yeah.
Was just, I mean, it was just, I'm watching this yesterday, I'm laughing. It's it's horrible, but it's so bizarre. The theater, the political theater is so just mind-boggling that there's humor to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we talked about the one woman who was a witness for the by the way, the head of USA Fencing had to be subpoenaed. He wasn't going to show up. He was ordered to show up.
Right.
He didn't want to speak.
Right.
He knew he was going to look horrible. And then the woman that is the head of a women's legal group to defend women's rights. And she's up there saying our job is to defend women's rights. And that's why, because this is what she's communicating. She didn't say it this way. And that's why we are defending men competing against women.
Yeah.
Because we're defending women's rights by men competing against women.
Right.
And you sit there and you go, what the hell kind of drugs are they doing? Seriously. Is this what fentanyl does to you? I mean, then we need to get it out. We need to stop it now. Close the border now.
It is the most radical mindset that we have seen, and again, becoming more radical by the moment.
Listen to this. Very short segment. Marjorie Taylor Greene asked USA Fencing's chair, Damian Leifeld, if she asked him about should a man be able to undress before a woman, and would he want his daughter changing in front of a man? Could not answer either question.
Right.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Leifeld, do you think forcing a woman to change in front of a man in a locker room is abusive? Yes or no?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure I
Do
follow
you
the
want your
question.
daughter to change in front of biological men in locker rooms? Yes or no?
My daughter isn't really something that should be part of this hearing, respectfully.
If you're not a quick no on that, we're gonna take that as a no.
Do you think a man should undress in front of a woman? Do you think that's proper?
Right.
I don't understand the question.
Yeah.
I can't understand
Should
the question.
your daughter be undressing in front of men? Oh, we're not going to bring my daughter into this, basically, is what he's saying. Yeah. Oh, your daughter's not going to be brought into it.
Yeah. Everybody else's
Somebody
daughter
else's daughter, it's
is.
okay.
Yeah.
By the way, that's one of the excuses that they've used in recent months. Well, it's happening in a few places to a few people, but it's not happening to my daughter. Some on the left have actually said that. I don't see it.
You're right. It didn't.
That's the Jedi mind trick thing. It's not happening. Wave their hand in front of your face. It's not happening. That's one of the tactics they use against the argument because they have nothing. They have zero. And yet they're keeping it very much alive, and they're hell-bent on this thing going further. It is the most bizarre strategy I've ever witnessed, but that tells how radical it is.
No, I agree with you on it. And we've said for the longest time, when we were bringing this up, when we brought this up over a decade ago, and you and I were talking about it when really nobody else was, and we said, this is going to destroy the feminist movement. And people, we got correspondence. You guys are throwing out projections that are never going to happen.
Here we are.
Feminist movement dead.
Yeah.
Why? Because the man says it ends now.
Right.
And you must submit to the man.
And
that's where modern feminism is today.
Right.
Where you had the one woman that was representing the women's legal group. We're here to defend all women.
Uh-huh.
No, you're not.
You're here to defend the men.
You're here to defend the men from the women. I mean, and when you just said it there, this is in my over 40 years of being in the media and either being a talk radio host or being head of news departments or whatever, overseeing news departments, and covering and paying attention to the news. Paying attention to the news for a half century, okay? Because it's really, before I ever got into radio, I was still paying attention to all the news. I've never seen anything like this.
No.
I've never seen anything like this. It is absolutely the most bizarre story that every time I cover it, I still have this incredible perverted sense of fresh awe. It's fresh. It's not like it wears on me.
Right.
Because I keep every day I'm like, I can't believe they're still trying to convince the American public of this. I can't believe they're so determined and they seem to be so focused on promoting something.
Yeah.
It's almost like if they're out there every day saying the sun doesn't exist.
Right.
There is no sun.
Right.
There's no sun. That's a big light bulb up there.
Or we have indoor sunshine. See, let me turn the switch on. It's indoor sunshine.
It's the most bizarre thing ever, and that's why you and I've always said it might not be the biggest issue when it comes for national security or the economy or whatever, but if a major political party, one of the major political party, endorses this kind of insanity, then anything else that they believe is tainted.
Yeah.
Yep. Because there's no critical thinking skills, there's no science, there's nothing except pure emotion. There's not even an ability to defend their positions.
No.
And when they defend their position, when they actually get down to it, and that's why we always bring up the Berkeley professor with Josh Harley, when he's asking questions about 3-4 years ago on this, going, oh, wait, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Well, this line of question is transphobic. Well, what is? We've always said. I would say what I don't even know what transphobic means.
Right.
Does that mean I'm afraid of?
Right.
I'm not afraid. I'm questioning. I'm not afraid of anything.
Right.
I figured out public speaking, so I'm not afraid of a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, death is always number 2. People are most afraid of public speaking and then death.
I thought it was public speaking, public nudity, and then death.
No, that's me and you.
Yeah. No, with me, it's public nudity, public speaking, and then death.
Right. And so it's just I just can't get my head around it. It's always the same sense of perverted awe of how they continue to pound something that everyone knows is the most ridiculous thing. And then their biggest argument is, well, you can't talk about it. We're not going to defend it. We're not going to explain it to you because if we do, then the people who were attempting to defend will commit suicide.
Right.
What?
So they point out a massive, massive mental health crisis.
Right. That they're ignoring.
And telling you should ignore it.
So if what you're saying is, if I question what the explanation of your idea is will cause them to commit suicide, then don't you have a huge mental health problem here? You're transphobic for bringing that up. It becomes circular again.
And the fact that they didn't learn from November of 24 is proof that it's their culture.
Yeah.
They believe this.
Amazing.
They're in it for life.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
An update on when the federal government's new dietary guidelines for Americans will be released.
You'll see by the end of this year, hopefully early fall, the new set of dietary guidelines coming out from our two agencies.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins Wednesday testifying before a House Appropriations Subcommittee. USDA, along with the Department of Health and Human Services, collaborates to develop recommended dietary guidelines every 5 years. For guidelines covering the period between 2025 and 2030,
Secretary Kennedy and I are working on that together as we speak.
In terms of what the proposed dietary guidelines might look like, Secretary Rollins believes the revised guidelines will
speak directly to the American family. It will support our local farmers and producers.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, we'll hear from Chip Roy, which means the reconciliation bill, what's going on there. A couple of things happened yesterday. A bill was introduced, I believe it was in the Senate, for no tax on overtime, but with caps. Limited to $10,000 per person, $20,000 for a couple. That's extra overtime.
Right.
And if you make over $100,000, you're single. Nope, you wouldn't collect, or you wouldn't be able to use that deduction, and $200,000 for a couple.
Right.
So now we're looking to see, will there be limits on and that came in from the Senate. So all that still would be negotiated down the road. But it looks like they're looking at caps. And what I think one of the problems is, and we'll hear from Chip Roy, they can't get, they're still saying there's no reason for Medicaid to be going up.
Yeah, right.
Now with the able-bodied males out there.
Right.
And then there's the fear, well, no, because we lose a political argument. If we increase Medicaid by $10, we can say we're increasing Medicaid, and the Democrats can't use you guys are trying to destroy Medicaid and cutting people off Medicaid.
Yeah.
Because they even fear the fact, Republicans fear the fact that even if they say, but we're taking able-bodied men off, that still Democrats will be able to use that argument. Yeah, but that still means you cut.
Right.
Which is just weird and bizarre.
Well, yeah, it's and again, it gets you back to the point. We're back at zero again.
Yeah, because
you can't afford to move if you're trying to cut anything, you can't get it done. Politically, you can't get it done.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We are Red Eye Radio. Pope Smoke Watch is on now.
Yeah.
Everybody's, all the networks every 5 minutes. It's like there's the Zoom camera.
Yeah.
On where the smoke will come out from. I did see the AI of Pope Joe the First.
Yeah. That's funny. You saw that. And, of course, it's, I'm sure a million people trying to be smarmy thought of the same thing. But yesterday I was telling the guys in the control room, it'd be Biden.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
Well, it was like he's Catholic and over 80.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
All right, where were we here?
Pope Watch.
Oh, that's right, the Pope Watch.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know.
Right.
So I was scanning during the bottom of the hour, and I'm on my phone, and I just decided to check out the New York Post to see if there's anything on the whole Columbia thing from last night, whether any of the ICE has taken custody of any of them. I want to see if that's a news story. And all I see on the front page of the New York Post, all these people, I mean, they're going crazy and everything else. I'm like, whoa, wow, look at that mob there. What kind of flag are they? What's going on here? They look a little happy, though. It got nothing to do with it. It's Knicks fans because the Knicks beat the Celtics and are up 2-0 in the series.
Oh.
It's like, oh, geez.
Not even a win for the series? They're just that they won?
Yeah, they came back. There was, I guess,
Okay.
a couple of big 2 games in a row, big comebacks, and
right.
I think the Celtics are favored to win.
All right.
But
yeah.
All right, you ready to go?
Okay.
Because where are we going on the reconciliation bill? Republicans feud over SALT deduction cap in the tax bill.
Mm-hmm.
After months of bickering, this comes from National Review, Audrey Fahlberg, after months of bickering publicly and privately about how to address the state and local tax deduction, SALT, in this year's tax bill, House Republicans still in an impasse. Of course, Mike Johnson, we're going to find the equilibrium point.
All right.
I was hoping for the equilibrium framework point is what I was looking for.
We got framework of the equilibrium.
Right. He said, we're going to find that point on SALT that no one will be totally delighted with, but it'll solve the equation and get it done.
Nobody's going to like it, but we'll get it behind us. Okay. All right.
No single House Republican had a larger group of reporters around him Tuesday than Representative Nick LaLotta of New York, one of the biggest defenders of the deduction, which is popular among blue state Republicans and reviled by fiscal hawks who believe that the policy unfairly subsidizes high tax and spend schemes in Democrat states like New York, New Jersey, and California.
Right.
And it does.
It does.
It does.
You get that deduction based on those local taxes.
Right.
It's how it works.
So the more that your state government decides to tax you on it,
right,
the less federal revenue the federal government gets from your state.
Right.
The current SALT deduction cap, which allows individuals or married couples to deduct up to $10,000 of their state and local taxes when filing federal taxes, is set to expire at the end of the year, along with many other provisions of the 2017 Tax and Jobs Cut Act, which means those other provisions mean if it doesn't go through, Eric and I pay fewer dollars in taxes.
That's true.
In taxes, yes.
Yeah.
In a brief interview, LaLotta doubled down on his long-held stance that he will not vote for a bill that simply doubles the deduction cap. As for his desired number, I've declined the opportunity to reveal a number publicly to the press or anywhere else. So much for transparency.
Yeah, well.
While reminding reporters of the leverage he and other blue state Republicans have in this year's reconciliation negotiations, given the House GOP slim margin. If that's not enough to make your head spin, there are active disagreements within the pro-SALT caucus about how to address the expiring deduction. In one view, any effort to raise a cap beyond $10,000 would only apply to people who do not exceed $400,000 to $500,000 in yearly income. And the whole point is they don't see any real interest from anybody, Republican or Democrat, in helping millionaires and billionaires. Well, that's not true. Democrats, like in states where you have to be rich to live in those areas, they want it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They want it. That's false. So, that's what's going on there. We've talked about what's happening with the no tax on overtime. There will be caps on that came in from the Senate, was introduced yesterday. A couple of Republican senators introduced that. We'll see where that goes. Again, nothing is stamped in stone yet.
Right.
Carved in stone. Engraved in stone.
Engraved in the framework of the stone.
Of the equilibrium framework.
It's not carved in the equilibrium just yet. Equilibrium. Seriously, I'm getting nauseous.
Wow. But now it makes us wonder there's got to be caps then on no tax on Social Security. How will they do that?
Right.
Which means I may not get, because I actually got my notice. Time for you to apply for Social Security, which I did not get at 66 years and 2 months. Because this is the one saying you cannot collect any more than you're going to collect.
Right.
Following your birthday this year.
Don't think we're going to put this in some kind of investment. Gary.
Right. You're not going to get any more, so apply now.
That's right.
But they actually, I'm paraphrasing, but they had it in.
Yeah.
This is the maximum that you can receive.
Right.
But I bet you that if you're still working, like I'll still be working. I'm not. We got to be clear, and thank you for doing that earlier. Because I got one email. You're retiring?
No.
No. I'm not retiring. No,
No.
It's just I have to apply for Social Security. That's all.
Right.
But no, I'm not. I have no plans on retiring at all. I don't have a 5-year plan to retire.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
When I don't have the ability to insult Eric anymore, I'll know it's time to go.
Yeah, that's when which will probably be never.
Right.
So
right.
We're here.
So I plan. My whole thing is I have enough confidence, some might call it arrogance, that I'm not going to be like the rest of you. I'm going to be immortal.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be doing this show forever.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's our fear. I mean,
now, is that confidence, arrogance, or have I now proved that I'm really a Democrat because I'm completely and totally delusional?
Well, if you can identify as somebody who's going to live forever,
why not?
I mean, why wouldn't that be allowed?
You know, right? that was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
Which one?
The Immortal.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one guy? He had the blood. He had blood that made it so he would live forever.
Yeah,
so,
right.
all these billionaires,
well,
who knew this guy existed, would get their own little armies and private investigators and armies to capture. They wanted to, to kidnap him and hold him just to do constant blood transfusions so they could live forever.
Yeah. Ironically, the show, The Immortal, got old. That's the problem. Like, okay, it's getting on our nerves now. We get it. Living forever. Okay.
It didn't last like 10 years. I don't know how long. I don't know how long it lasted, but yeah. Interesting concept.
Yeah.
But let's hear from Chip Roy and all this.
All
because
right.
the Democrats also going crazy about, that Republicans are going to cut Medicaid, and they keep saying, no, we're not. You're lying. We want to stop Medicaid for able-bodied men.
Mm-hmm.
But here's Chip Roy yesterday. Okay, here we go.
I thank the chairman. I appreciate his leadership on this issue. I thank him for holding this hearing, and I thank for the witnesses for appearing. Mr. Linden, would you agree that we should, for example, you mentioned subsidizing folks through the tax policy earlier in your testimony. Do you think we should end the subsidies that are in the Inflation Reduction Act that go to 90% of which go to billion-dollar corporations?
I think we should end subsidies that don't pay off for the American people.
Right. So do you think we should end those subsidies?
Those subsidies create thousands of jobs.
Well, that's your argument. So your point is you're fine subsidizing billion-dollar corporations that take away the ability for the American people to be able to compete and have affordable energy, and that subsidize the Chinese to put solar panels on the hill country and put battery plants in the hill country, which are destroying our water supply. And you're fine doing that. But then you want to come here and lecture us on how we're subsidizing the rich. But we're subsidizing billion-dollar corporations with leftist policies under the Inflation Reduction Act. Mr. Winfrey, let me ask you a question. The chart behind me here shows what we're arguing about in the reconciliation bills. Here's where we are in our total debt. Here's where we're going to be in total debt from 2024 to 2034 over the 10 years. This bottom line here, you've got the baseline, current law, and then you've got where we are the House budget, which is roughly the same because we are striving for deficit neutrality in the House budget. Here's what we deal with here if you deal with the fact that we get savings or if the interest goes up. My point is just this. Even with the House budget, which my Democrat colleagues decry, are we or are we not still sitting at $56 trillion of debt in a decade?
We are.
Is that any way for this country to be able to survive if we're going to be barreling towards $56 trillion of debt?
No.
Are we arguing essentially over crumbs on both sides of the aisle right now?
Yes.
Right now, how much is our interest per year? $1 trillion?
About $1 trillion.
Is it going to go up massively if we're refinancing our debt at 5% historic rates instead of the current CBO projection of 3.5%?
It could triple.
So right now, the Congress of the United States, both sides of the aisle, is gagging over gnats on the other side of the aisle, sitting here and lecturing us on tax policy, telling us what's going to happen if we change the top marginal rate. If we let the top marginal rate snap back into place from 37 to 39.6, under CBO's projections, what is that? About $375 billion over 10 years, $350 billion over 10 years?
Sure.
So $35 billion a year. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we shouldn't. Whatever. It's crumbs compared to the trajectory of the country. Is that true?
Right.
And what is driving the trajectory of the debt in this country? Is it the fact that a decade ago we had about $3.5 trillion of spending? 3.6 trillion in spending, and today is the spending is what? About 7 trillion?
Spending has grown tremendously.
Has it roughly doubled in the last decade?
Yes.
And what is one of the primary drivers of that inflation? Yes.
Inflation is a big part of it. Has been.
But a huge chunk of it are the policies that we're choosing, correct?
That's right, and the policies also drove the inflation.
Correct. And is Medicaid a key part of that issue?
Yes, Medicaid's a major part of the issue.
Has Medicaid gone from $400 billion in 2019 to over $600 billion in 2025?
Yes.
Is it projected to be over $1 trillion by the 2030s?
It is.
Is that something that is funded by any tax, or is that straight up out of our entire general revenue?
It's out of Treasury general revenue.
Unlike Medicare or Social Security, correct?
That's right.
Are we not, through Medicaid, currently subsidizing the able-bodied massively more than we are the vulnerable for whom Medicaid was actually designed to serve?
We are.
Are we doing that at a 90% federal level instead of a 50 to 70% level that we currently do for the vulnerable? That is, the able-bodied get 90%, 90 cents on the dollar. The vulnerable population, the poor, the people who hurt, the people for whom Medicaid was created, they get 50 to 70 cents on the dollar. Is that correct?
That's right. For every dollar that states spend, they get $9 for the able-bodied, and for every dollar they spend on the vulnerable, they get $1.33.
Is there also not a provider tax that is applied that is then essentially money laundered through where federal dollars go to then pay those people back that are taxed in states like California, and then those states openly brag about money laundering that federal money to give money to people and put it in their general budget and to give money to, say, illegal aliens?
The provider tax is a major scam, as former President Joe Biden called it.
There you go.
Wow.
Now I'm all bummed out.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Chip Roy.
Well, but he did explain it, didn't he?
That's reality right there.
Yep. 86690 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Well, And there we were just about to come on the air, and I hear all this excitement in the other room. Gary, look, black smoke. So, again, the camera's trained at the Vatican, and no pope is selected at this point.
Yeah.
And so they may change to the Electoral College.
Right.
Ranked choice voting.
Exactly.
So it's been going on for a while, the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that taped?
Maybe
Okay.
it may be looped. Yeah.
It's like the loop.
I don't know why you would want to loop it.
So
we get the idea.
We end the show by saying no pope yet.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.